Last few months, there's been a growing tension between the governor's office and some of the 9 tribes that call South Dakota home.
First Alert investigator Beth Warden looks into the latest steps by Governor Noem that are upsetting some Native Americans.
Communication and understanding have been a challenge recently between Governor Noem and the leaders of certain tribes. Chase Iron Eyes with the Lakota Law Project monitors the interaction.
You know, sometimes I feel like tribes are playing Uno and Noem is playing checkers. Neither of them are playing chess. They're taking pot shots at each other. The dynamic that has been most oppositional, obviously, has been Pine Ridge and Christy Noem.
The most recent request from Governor Noem requesting an audit of all federal funds given to the tribes is causing additional tension. Noem says the audit is essential to understanding the financial needs. Iron Eyes reacts to Noem's request.
But if Noem's going to call for an audit, then maybe we should audit her.
Senator Sean Bordeaux agrees, saying we should audit the federal funds her family business received and some of the other questionable spending she does. She hasn't done much for the natives in her time in office as governor. Iron Eyes believes the discourse has brought the tribes together.
You know, the funny thing is that we love to fight each other as Native people. But when somebody from the outside tries to fight one of us, and now we want to defend each other.
At Oglala Lakota College, Professor Margaret Ross says there is already plenty of documentation for the financial needs of the tribes.
There's already enough data, there's already enough information there. And so Governor Noem, she should know, and she should be saying that we need to talk about the funding and lack of funding on the reservation.
Other recent comments from Governor Noem about drugs, crime, and education have appeared to combine all 9 tribes into one.
But we also want our sovereign prerogatives to be recognized.
In Sioux Falls, Beth Warden, Dakota News Now.
We've reached out to the governor's office for clarification on some of her recent comments and the pushback she's now receiving. We have not heard back yet.